like I said before, pacing. So I feel like, and Nick's expressed this a couple times too. Like we're very slow.
Sorry, do I need these on?
Nah, you don't need them.
Oh, okay.
Because you can hear yourself there and I can hear myself here.
All right.
So
sorry to just distract you.
So no, that's all right. So Nick feels, and I do too, like we move really slow in this band, you know, like we record one song every year or so or whatever. And we're working on improving that. But there's a very specific reason that we do that. Like for anybody who's been following us for a while, they may have noticed that it seems like things move at a slower pace than the average band. Because usually bands will like, in 2 years, they'll release a full album and then they'll spend a whole year touring that album to promote it. And then they'll back to the studio, record another album, blah, blah. But our setup is different for specific reasons. So I wanted to talk to you about that because I feel like it was kind of your idea. And it's the reason why Nick even joined our band.
Oh, yeah. I think what you're saying is production pressure. So production pressure, like how much pressure we feel or someone feels that like they have to perform. There's timelines and they feel the pressure of producing. And that can be felt differently throughout all of us.
So what I'm going to do is, without saying it, I'm just going to try to ask you questions to get you to explain it. So like, why don't we practice every week like most bands do? Some bands practice twice a week.
The original idea was to just get the triangle. We were tired of our families playing the back burner. Really just being... we were tired of having our families pay the price. So we wanted balance and we want to be able to slow down at any time because life events happen, things happen. And if you can't slow it down, then something that you've wanted to do, loved to do, you no longer do because now it goes from hobby to a burden.
Like you have to pick between dreams is what it felt like for me. Like my dream was always to be in a band and to do music. And then having a wife and family, it always seems like you have to choose between the two, right? Like that's why you see all these bands that we grew up watching. Eventually they stop because they decide, hey, I actually want to have kids and get married and settle down. And so they quit. And then that band's done. Yeah.
And you're under the illusion that, it has to be this way. Wait, I have to put my family in the back burner. I have to make tons of sacrifice.
Live with your parents.
No. That's not the case.
So we tried with this band, we came up with like a pyramid, right? Remember the pyramid that we always talked? So
not Pink Floyd.
Right. So what's at the bottom of our pyramid? It's like the food pyramid, but for priorities.
Well, I got to figure out how we're, or how are we doing this?
So I always think of the pyramid like this.
Okay.
And the thing at the bottom is the thing that's like the most important. Everything rests on top of that.
So at the bottom, vegetables and, paralleling the whole food pyramid.
Yeah, it's like in the food pyramid, they have grains at the bottom because that's like your main source of calories, right? Okay. And then everything builds off of that. So what's the main thing that if we don't have that worked out, then it just won't?
Family balance.
There you go.
Shalom in the home.
Yep.
However you want to call it, like balance in the home.
So that means like getting along with your spouse, being a good husband, father, like being good to your kids, having time with them, all those sorts of things. That's a priority for us, which means that we hold each other kind of accountable to that, right?
Absolutely. And it's HR. So like when we look for a guitarist, bass player, if they're a dad, they're a husband, like how's your family life? And believe it or not, HR, you can't ask that question. Those are really personal questions, but we're in a band. We can do whatever we want. So yeah, you ask the real ones. How's your family? How's that going? Because if that's on the rocks, it affects everything.
Right. So that also affects how we do practices. So that's part of the reason why we don't practice every week. Some bands practice twice a week. Some are just once a week. We practice every other week, and that allows more time with family. And it just requires us on our own time to like make sure we're doing our practice, like our actual practice. When we're together, that's rehearsal. But when we're on our own time, that's when you're actually getting good at what you do.
Yeah. And that's a whole mind change is, are you coming to practice, or are you coming to practice to rehearse? That's a whole new topic. Vince Jackson was the one, obviously our guitarist, who was one who really put that idea like, no, this is not practice. This is rehearsal.
Right.
And it really made the quality jump.
So with the family thing, just to stay there, because we're still at the bottom of the pyramid here, with family, the other thing that we've tried to do And you can only manipulate this so much, but we've tried to incorporate our families together. So you can't force people to be friends or anything like that. But we have found that time and repetition helps with a lot of different things. And so when we practice up in your area, which is like hour and a half, 2 hours away, I try as much as possible to bring my family with me, which, yeah, it's a lot of traveling, but like instead of me leaving my family for a big chunk of Saturday, my wife and my 2 kids come with me. We have those 2 hours on the road to talk and whatever. And then when we get there, we have our practice. And then after practice, we spend time together. So like Amanda and Holly will hang out and have fun, and our kids will play together. And we kind of have this family time, like a family barbecue that happens after practice. And so that's a way of us, instead of the band pulling you away from your family, the family comes with. And so you don't have that problem. I think that we've all learned from experience that like, if your lady's not on board and not supportive of what you're doing, then it's just not going to work.
Good God. And the real message of this, everybody has a dream. And sometimes that dream dies because realities kick in. Family, you name it. We asked this big question was, how can we have our dream, a luxury, not like a luxury, and not leave our family behind? We're full-fledged adults. We have careers. We have full-time jobs. We have all of those responsibilities. How can we have our cake and eat it too? And I think that's what it looked like. And
I think that's a great segue into the next part of the pyramid. So the next level up from the pyramid is job, right?
Desserts.
So I don't even think this is desserts quite yet.
Not there yet.
I almost feel like the band itself is the dessert, and you can't have it like this. I mean, because it's so rewarding what we get to do, but we can't have that if we don't have our family stable, shalom in the home, and then also a career, a job. Because I think we've learned that if you're not making enough money, if you don't have a career that lets you have time off to play shows or practice or whatever you need to do, then how can you have gas money to get to practice? How can you buy your own whatever?
That's a reality. And studies are showing that, and I think Jordan Peterson even says this, if you have outside of your full-time job, a hobby, a dream, whatever you want to call it, it actually gives you higher satisfaction for your job. Because you have something to work for, you have something to look forward to, you have something to, it's something you're working towards, and so it's multi-dimensional how this works, like why this works,
right?
So it works there as far as like a full-time job. This is your out. This is your escape.
And also, I think it supports the stability, because I think that's kind of the point of our pyramid that we think of is like stability in the family. Like if there's always conflict in the family and things are always falling apart, there's always drama, then it's not even right for that person to be in the band because they're taking away from their family. The priority should be making sure that you're good with your spouse or whatever. Then the same thing with a job. If you don't have stability in a job, if you're just like, I don't know, delivering pizzas or something, like if you don't have stability, then you can't support your family, you can't support yourself. How can you have this excess thing on top where you're traveling every other weekend or you're going and playing shows in different places, like that sort of thing? Also,
too, like this whole idea, it shaped the lens on how we see each other. Hey, my kid's sick, or family's on the rocks. It allowed us to give grace to each other because we believe in that pyramid. We do. And that is evidence. Like, you don't show up in band practice because you have a life event occurring. Like, no problem. Without that idea, oh man, like, come on, you're inconsistent. Are you even in this? Do you even want to do this? Come on, man, we're sacrificing, blah blah blah. Like,
that's perfect. I want to talk more about that. Is there any other levels on the pyramid, or is it those two things and then the band is the cherry on top, the dessert? I feel like it is.
Yes, because it gets to your passion. It gets all the, why is this it shouldn't be this difficult to get what I want. This should be easy, and it shouldn't come with such a cost, right? Because you can have a dream, but if it's so costly and it requires so much, sometimes like it just fizzles out.
I think maybe one other layer on that pyramid, it's unofficial for us, but is the individual mental health of each member. Because like, family good, job, you've got your family supporting you, you've got money to do the things, but your own mental health, if you're in a really, really dark spot, that affects things as well. So that's why we talk to each other and we're kind of aware of how each other's doing, because what you were just talking about and what I wanted to get into is the fact that we can ebb and flow. So we're flexible enough that we can slow things way down or speed things way up. And now we're still learning, because I think we found that we're at a slow pace and we're trying to figure out how can we speed up
without resentment, without bitterness.
Yes.
Right. You can patiently wait.
Yes. So that's why it's like when we speed up, we're cautiously doing it. We're trying to figure out, is this good for everybody? So that's what's really cool about it is like, if somebody is having some problems in some chaos in their career, that's the bottom of the pyramid. And we're all on the same page with that. Is like, we have to support each other, because if that's not there, it chops the legs out from under the whole thing. And then same thing for family. If there's not shalom in the home, if your spouse or your kids are feeling like you're never home, you're never there, then we need to slow things down as a band, or that member needs to do what they need to do to fix that. And we all support each other in that. So,
and I feel too, with the whole dream thing, it's very simple when it comes to being a dad, being a husband. The things in your life are either pulling you from your family or pulling you towards your family. And I use those two filters. Like, sure, if I'm away from my family with the boys through the weekend, I better come back recharged, wanting to be a better father, better husband. If not, I got to reevaluate if this is useful for my life.
Yes.
So these dreams, these wants, desires, they got to make you a better man, in my opinion, a better man, a better husband, a better father. It rejuvenates you. That's how you know you're supposed to do it.
That's a good point. And that's what the band is for us, is therapy.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's an outlet. It's a release to get the stuff out. And then you come home and it's like, whew, okay, recharged.
For moms, for dads, for anybody, this is a universal idea, a universal pyramid. This can apply to anything, I feel.
So, and that's why I mentioned the mental health thing too, is because I know there's been some times in the band where it's like, hey, Dustin, I need you do you have those bass parts down? Can you do this for me? Blah, 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 blah. And then if I happen to be in a dark spot, because I think everybody struggles with these kinds of things, it's just voicing it to the group and like, hey guys, I'm trying, just a heads up, I'm kind of going incognito here. That seems to be our code for it, is like, I'm kind of in a dark spot right now, so I might not be as productive. And everybody kind of understands, and we show grace to each other. And it feels like that, like, I don't know, it's like, it's a movement like that where we push forward and we ease back, we push forward and we ease back. And I think that we're picking up the pace. Like, it's been slow. I mean, we've been doing this for quite a while, but I feel like we're kind of at the point where we're all in sync with each other. We've kind of figured out each other's personalities, and now we're starting to speed up a little bit. We're getting back into the songwriting process, which is way different now than it was back then.
Yeah, I think it's the turnkey system. We're getting to a point where, and you guys, everybody who's listening, like, you already know this since trying to do new stuff. It is so hard to get to do what you want to do. There's so many pieces involved. Like, man, why can't we just get to, I want to ride the roller coaster. I just want to get on there. I don't want to stand in a line, you name it. Like, but can't we get straight to the fun, straight to what we want to do? We found out too, like, that is a taxing thing, like recording. Okay, how do we record easily? How do we make this very easy so it's not an emotional strain for us? So it can be really easy, get straight to it, and get to the good stuff. And that was slowing it down let us kind of do that. Like, I had like, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
and even practice space. It's like, I mean, when we recorded all of our original songs, like, a lot of them was completely remote, and it was like Vince would do most of the work, which was very taxing on him. And then we would try to remotely send tracks to each other and everything. Now, because we've slowed down, we've established where we're practicing, and because we all have careers, so we have money, like, your sound gear has made it so that we can have a practice space right here. Like, we're sitting in our practice space, the drum set's right there. We have an in-ear system. It's all rigged up to this computer. So it's like, we come in here and Nick doesn't have to carry his drum set. It's here. He walks in, he sits down. We've already got his drum set completely mic'd up and ran into our program here, along with the bass, guitar, all this other stuff. And so it just is so turnkey to be able to walk into here and plug your stuff in and then jam. And then if we strike gold and we find something cool, we just click record. It's already plugged in. And then we have the same thing up at Nick's house. It's another turnkey setup where we just show up, we set it all up, and we're good to go. And I think, like you said, taking our time and figuring out what's important so we can be most efficient, is how we got here.
There's another thing that takes place that's really toxic. A dream not pursued. And I'll give you it's very, very bad. For example, I have a live sound company, and you can collect things. Like I've got a lot of speakers, and I go out my pole barn and I see a wall of speakers. And every day I look at them, I see them collect dust. And this was a dream I had. This was a dream I was pursuing, a dream that kind of took a back burner to find a different path or no path at all. Time would reveal where this is going to go, AC
Right.
sound. And I'm looking at those speakers, I'm like, they're just sitting there collecting dust. And that really twisted me. Right then and there, I became a slave to those speakers. I'm like, this is owning me. Like, those speakers are supposed to give me enjoyment. This dream is supposed to give me enjoyment, like fulfill me, have this, play this role in my life. And it's not. And it was bad. I think that's where the midlife crisis happened, where you have a dream and you don't pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
It it's bad. Cause then you realize like, I just have all these things and kind of feel like nothing to show for it.
So is that something you're struggling with right now? Because you have it all there.
Yeah. Like I look at all the time and energy. Yes, I know that, all that knowledge helped us make a turnkey system with the practice space. We know how to work the Ethernet, the RJ45s, all the connections, you name it. So that was, it wasn't in vain, but it's very important when you pursue something to not stop or
to put it. Yeah. It's, like you've been saying with this band for a long time, we have to scratch the itch and we have to know
what place, what role.
Like what place, like if you really are done with music, then make sure you're done. Don't just fail and then that's it. Like you have to actually see it through. And so I think it's the same with the sound companies. You had that. And right now you're at that point where it's push pause and you're trying to like, did I fail or do I keep pushing forward? And it's all that up in the air stuff. But for me, because I'm I guess kind of an outside perspective, I see it as, I think that there's a lot of potential that we will be using that for the band in the future. Mm-hmm. And so it's like you push pause on it so that this other thing can come into place. And then the sound company is going to come back because it might be a venue someday. I mean, we talk about it a lot.
Yeah. We will wait and see.
Mm-hmm. It just sucks waiting because it's like, did I fail? Or is this just collecting dust?
Most important, follow your dreams. And I think that's the best thing you can us millennials or boomers, whatever you want to say, like to reciprocate to your parents, like pursue your dreams. Like that's why they worked as hard as they did.
They made it so that we can pursue our dreams. Yeah. That's the other cool thing too, is that what is our dream? So what's our expectations of this band? So, because people might say, well, if you're only practicing every 2 weeks and you're only releasing songs really slowly, whatever it is, and you only play like, because our plan right now, our goal is just to play like one show a month, something like that. If that's it, like, can we make it? What is success for us?
That's a great question. I think the speed is dictated on the pyramid. If that's all set, then I guess the pyramid gets bigger and we get faster and more faster. And then things start to suffer. Foundation starts to weaken. Right. We reset and we slow down.
So then we can say pretty confidently that like we're not looking to tour for 200 days out of the year because you can't have a career and do that. Same with family. Your family's at the bottom, careers after that. Like touring would make it so those things are not possible. They cannot stay in place. But I think there's a way that like, maybe in the summertime we could go for a week tour or something like that if we wanted to.
I love the idea. I'm trying to change how I speak about the future.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say like, hey, 2 years from now, like it's going to be different. I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't know. Here's what I can say day by day. I'm going to maintain that triangle my whole life.
Yep.
Whatever journey, whatever path that I'm on, I'm going to maintain the pyramid. I'm going to maintain my family. I'm going to maintain what is fair, balanced, and stable through my life continuum. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I'm not like that. I can say for certain. like that I'm going to do every day. I don't know if I'll start golf. I don't know if I'll get into Muay Thai or karate.
Right.
I don't know if my kids are going to be a black belt or I don't know. But I know this, the model, the discipline that we have, that I have, that's my roots. That's my foundation. That is timeless.
Right.
Timeless.
It's like a ratio. As long as that ratio stays there, then who knows? If we could play a bunch more shows and still be able to maintain that ratio, then yeah, we'll do it. But if it gets to the point where playing lots of shows makes it so that we're not able to, then slow down.
Still talking about the pyramid triangle, right? We love dreams, but guess what? It can't be everything that you are. That's what the triangle, the pyramid's for. Because guess what we could do? Oh man, shows are popping up. Okay, family, time to take the back burner. We got a lot of shows coming. All right, family, see ya.
Yep.
Easy. Your dream is only as big as the pyramid allows.
That's an interesting concept too. So if you're taking from your family, it's almost like you're making that part smaller. Mm-hmm. So then it can support less farther. I never thought about that way.
If we go on tour and we win the Powerball and it's fully funded, just like, for example, Jurassic Park, me and Jurassic Park, the first one, John Hammond, right? Hammond. John Hammond came up.
Spare no expense.
Goes in that trailer, pops up that champagne. These guys have been working hard to get up those fossils, right? Got it, man. And he's like, hey, I need you to come over for the weekend. Right? I got a chopper standing along the way. Getting to the point, they didn't want to leave because they're on a limited budget. This is successful for them. Then he says, I'm going to fund you for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take care of that thing that's holding you back. Right? Here's part of your pyramid here, your structure. Sure.
I see what you're saying.
We'll go on this trip. You're going to pay for the next 2 years of research.
Mm-hmm. So their foundation can support them to go get chased by T-Rexes.
Exactly. Give a poor eval. But they're able to go. That foundation's complete. They're able to do that.
I like that.
So when we move, there's your decision-making criteria.
Yeah.
All right. You want to do 200 shows a year? Look at the pyramid. Look at I got either pyramid or, because a pyramid has multiple sides. A triangle doesn't, right? A pyramid's 3D.
Right.
Another thing.
The triangle.
Right. Triangle. Maybe triangle's a little easier.
Yeah.
Pyramid be a whole different, anyways, but to have that taken care of, that's, it falls under the terms of decision criteria. Mm-hmm. What is the criteria for your decision? So we say, okay, we want to do 200 shows a year. That's and we have to make a choice. Well, what's the criteria to the choice? What factors, what has to be in place for us to say yes or no to that? As a criteria.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is falls under the execution. So you have a dream. Okay, what is it going to take to actually get off ground zero? What's it going to take to actually execute this? And this is it falls around reality-based thinking. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where, that's the pace of the band, right? We've kind of addressed that. I'm trying to think if anything else is connected to it. I know one other thing that's kind of loosely related is I found myself, I think of the band as a delicate thing as well. And that I try not to take it for granted that I'm lucky to be in it. And so I've found lately when things pop up that could be conflict, I'm like, I don't want to put that pressure on. I want to do it. I want this to be so with the Chasing the Sirens reunion show, Vince is like, hey guys, I got this band I was in. They want to do a reunion show. What do you guys think? And for me, I'm like, I don't want this band to be anything negative. I don't want you to feel restricted by it. Yep. Do it, man. What can I do to support you? How can I help you?
Make it easy.
Same for Nick was talking about jamming with those other guys. No problem. Whatever itch you got to scratch, I want this band to be something that gives you no stress, is happy. It's a therapeutic. And I think it's been good.
Do you think our hearts have kind of changed? At first it was, we're doing this because of how good, not to boast, but you gotta be confident. We have a legit band. We have great music, great musicians, you name it. And that was kind of the currency. Okay, I'm going to tolerate this guy. People are going to tolerate me because of my ability, the music side. It actually changed. It's the foundation. It's the pyramid. It's the family. It's the friendship. That is now sacred.
Right.
That's more precious than actually the band is the family, the dream, you know what I'm saying? It's changed.
I know what you're saying. Before, for me, it was always like, I got to make this happen. I got to make this business happen. You got to do this thing. You said you're going to do it. Like it was more like now it almost feels more like nurturing a plant. Like you planted the seed and it's growing and we're watering it. Oh, be careful here. Let's not ruin this. We got to take care of it.
I used to think about it like this. Tolerance. You ever thought about the word tolerance? All right. I thought about it like this. Tolerance is this, where my tolerance goes only as far as when it keeps benefiting me. When it stops benefiting me, there's no tolerance. So I figured out like, okay, that's what tolerance is. Like when you lose it in somebody and you lose it in an idea, it just, I gain nothing from tolerating you.
Right.
So, and with all of our difficult personalities, you name it, like the tolerance was, okay, your ability as a musician. Okay, I'm going to tolerate that. But now we figured out something a little deeper. It's not about just the music. It's about being patient with each other. It's about adding in all of our side hustles. Nick Myers' marketing strategies, your HR experience and your creative music ability and writing, and Vince's studio and My Life Sound. Like the tolerance, the foundation's bigger, which gives us more resiliency, more grace. It's standing on more than one leg.
It's almost like the band itself has become a stabilizing factor. It's like, you know, we think of the triangle, the pyramid or whatever, and like the bottom thing stabilizes the work thing on top of that, and then the band sits on top of that. But I think I've almost found that because the band has become stabilized and our relationships with each other has become more stabilized, it almost holds the structure together. Like if you think about the top shelf of that shelf back there, it holds the rungs, it holds the four things together and gives it some stability. Because I mean, I feel like you guys are stable relationships in my life. I mean, I see you every 2 weeks. I talk to you throughout beforehand. So it's become another source of stability, I think.
Oh, and I know we talked about this before, but this is another podcast for us. Like having friends at age 35, 36.
Oh, what does that mean?
What are friends today? And like I said, I won't get off in the weeds in that, but I got fresh off the press. Like we should probably stop this and start that because that's huge.
What do we got here? Well, we're at about 30 minutes. So I think that's pretty good for this episode.
Yeah, I guess the take home, right? Bring it all together. Everybody has dreams. Maybe consider the triangle to your dream.
And maybe it could be a reality that we're just lucky to have what we have. Like we're the whole privilege thing. I mean, we're lucky to have stable families.
Not only that,
have careers.
I want to know how I got this, how we got it. Replicate it, study it, recreate it, like analyze. This is the whole point of this whole like analyzation of this. How do we get like this? Because that means we can understand it, we can replicate it, we can fortify it, we can talk about it.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I mean, we slow down the pace, but we're still pursuing our dreams, and we're not washed up old guys as much as people might think.
And luckily we chose heavy metal. So it's not about like bags under your eyes and like looking good and having really, really white teeth and no gray hair. It's metal. So looks really don't matter as much.
Just got to be brutal.
Just a little brutal.